We're with Mckenzie Maneggia, one of the 4 seniors on the Eastern Connecticut women's volleyball team, the defending Little East Conference women's volleyball team. You know, Mckenzie, it's been like 11 years since we've been able to say that, the defending champion. And you might have been like in elementary school at that point, right?
Yeah.
But how does that sound? How does that sound, the defending champion?
Definitely feels good. I'd like you to be able to say it again next year too.
Well, how did preseason go for you guys? You've gone through most of it, and you're just about ready to start. You have a couple days before the season starts. How, in general terms, has the preseason gone?
I think it's gone really well. I've definitely been impressed the most by the consistent improvement throughout the season. The first day was definitely a learning day, but since then we've really worked together as a team a lot more, and we've been able to put together some of the pieces to run a pretty good offense and have good defenders behind us.
You know, your coach, Mckenzie, she was talking the other day saying that 2018 is over and we're on to 2019. But looking back on 2018, just talk a little bit about winning that tournament, or winning the Little East tournament for the first time in 11 years.
It was awesome. It was definitely something we knew that we were capable of doing, but we had to make sure that we went out and actually performed every single day. Once we beat UMass Boston it was towards the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Once we beat them then, we knew that we were capable of it, and we got some confidence, and from then on we just knew that we had a chance and we didn't want to lose.
Was the team, you guys won, you only, after the early part of the year, you never lost more than one match in a row. For the most part, as the season progressed, was the team pretty much everything like fall into place, everybody in sync for the most part?
I think so, and I think that ties into we have like a strategy, I guess, where if you lose, like it's okay for the other team to score 1 point as long as you score 2 or 3 points, because then you'll win. And I think it was the same when it came to the matches. Like, all right, we lost 1 game, it's okay, but now we have to come back and we have to win 2 matches. You know what I mean? So never letting ourselves get down in too big of a momentum ditch, either in an actual match or when the season as a whole.
You guys got down towards the end of the year. You had been swept by Keene State early on, but then by beating Boston, you ended up in a tie for first, but got the tiebreaker, and you were at home. How important was it to get Keene in the finals at home, as opposed to being either at a neutral site or up there?
Well, we're not good when we play at Keene, so It was definitely an advantage to be here, or at least anywhere else but Keene. So I guess it was even more of an advantage to be at home. It's just nice to sleep in your own bed, get up, have breakfast that you eat every day. Just those routine things was so much better here than you would have to do it somewhere else, when you would sleep over if you won the semis to play in the finals the next day. And it's just hard to get in your rhythm when you're not following your normal routine.
You guys have a lot of people back from last year, but you lost 4 key people. Can you just talk briefly about what those people, those 4 graduates, had brought to the program last year in general terms?
Yeah, so Karen Sabisky, Jackie Orlowski, and
Leah or Carly.
And Carly Bosco, sorry. They were 3 really versatile hitters. They were able to hit anywhere on the court, and that's so helpful for me as the setter, because I can tell one person who's normally hits on the outside, okay, come to the middle for a set, and that really messes with the other side because they're expecting someone to be hitting on the outside and they come to the middle, and that really helps me move my offense around to mess up the defense on the other side. And then Leah Sidneski was our other setter, and she's been setting here for 3 years. All the hitters were used to her. She ran a great offense, so it's definitely something that we're going to miss this year, having her be there.
Well, you alluded to it, but we didn't really say it, that you are the setter. And just talk about some of the responsibilities that are involved. I think it's somewhat like a quarterback. When they come up to the line of scrimmage, sometimes they have to call an audible. How difficult is it to be a setter?
It's not one of the easiest jobs, but I think it's definitely a fun job because, like I said before, you can mess with the other side a little bit. I really enjoy when I have versatile hitters that I can move around and try to get the defense on the other side confused. So I think it's definitely a fun position, although it is a little bit hard because you have to make sure you're aware of where everyone is, and you can't run 2 plays where people are colliding into each other, and you have to make sure that it makes sense whatever play you're choosing to run.
That's the key. Do people realize how, I mean, in practice, you must have to go over and go over and go over and go over it, repetition, for all your timing to be correct?
Yeah.
No?
It's definitely the outsides, I mean, they definitely need to adjust to the setter, but the middles are the hardest, the quick sets, because if the timing's off, then they'll miss the ball completely, and that's a point automatically to the other team. So it's definitely important to get that connection with our middles, and we do have, and Nayeli Cruz Martinez is one of the incoming freshmen, and she hits middle, so we've definitely been working on our timing with her as well as the returners.
Well, you were a high school teammate of Carly Bauskas at Ram, and then you were joined by Anna Berry, who was a high school teammate as well, who ended up being one of the best freshmen in New England, and she played middle. How much fun was it to work with her? And just talk a little bit about her, about her abilities.
Yeah, Anna is the easiest person to set, which makes it fun for me because she can hit pretty much anything. She's also special because, I don't know if it's because we played a lot before we came here, but we have that, sometimes there's like a weird setter-hitter connection where she knows what I want her to do, she knows where I want her to go and what I want her to run, and without me even saying it half the time, she'll just do it and call it, and it works out really well. She's my bailout, which is different for a middle because it's usually harder to set a middle because you want a kind of a perfect pass to set them, but with Anna, it can be not a perfect pass because it doesn't have to be the perfect set to set her, and it makes me happy to set her because it's usually going to be a kill.
And she can make you look good, right?
She makes me look good.
That's a friend.
The most important part.
We've talked a lot about the offensive players that you set, but talk about the defense. I mean, people don't understand how important passing is. You need to get a good pass in order to have a chance to make a good set. Talk about the passing abilities of this team.
Yeah, a lot of the time when I'm talking about the strategy of the team or what we're doing and everything, I forget to even talk about the passers because they're so consistent and they're not really, not that the hitters are a problem, but they're not really a problem on the court because I know if it's a hit, if it's not going to be a kill because my defenders are going to be there to get a good pass so I can run the offense. It's just very reassuring and it gives me confidence as a setter to have Madison Bell and Mckenzie and then our two outside hitters, Abby Stern and Elytra Long. They play all the way around and those four people can really dig a ball and it makes me feel a lot better.
And the majority of your primary passers are back, right?
Yeah.
Is passing a part of the game that if you had to look at one aspect of the game that a team needed to be good in order to be competitive and to win, could you say that would be as important as any other area of a game?
I think that is the most important part because how are you going to set without a pass and how are you going to hit without a set? So it needs to start somewhere. So I think passing is the most important part of the game.
So you guys have most of your players back. And you alluded a little bit to a couple of the new players, but talk a little bit more about the four new players that you have this year.
Yeah, so we have Nayeli Cruz Martinez and then Paola Perez, and they are both very versatile players. They can pass, set, and hit, and they both have very nice serves. And I mean, I said it before, but it's just so nice to have people who can do more than one thing because you can move them around, you can make them pass, you can have if it's a bad pass, they can set the ball kind of a thing. It's just really reassuring to have them. And then we have a new player, Sania Clay, who is a sophomore, but it's her first year, and she's a passer, and she can read the other hitter very well, so she almost always knows where to be when she's passing. And like I said, it gives me confidence when my passers know what they're doing and where to go because that's the most important part. And then Abby Fletcher is the last freshman and she's the other setter. I think she's great because I think I'm biased because I'm a setter, but I think it's the hardest transition to go from high school to college as a setter because the tempo is so much faster. There's so many more set calls. You really do have to run the court to make an effective play, and she's taken that in stride, and from the first day to the last day of preseason, she's improved tremendously, and I can't wait to see what she looks like at the end of the season.
Do you guys think you'll go into this season, you won the conference championship last year, you tied for the regular season, you won the conference tournament. and you're the preseason #1 in the Little East Conference poll. Do you think this team is going to be mentally ready to go in and defend it, or is it might take some team to kick your butt and say we better get our acting gear?
Hopefully we don't need someone to kick our butt first. I mean, in high school, so me and Anna were trained kind of that 1 year, even if we made it to the state championship, even if we won the state championship, it's a new year. Last year, yeah, it was cool, but it doesn't really matter anymore, and which I think is true. So I think that if we take this as like a clean slate, fresh year, and we just go out and play our game, that we should be able to get that spot at least close to the top, because a lot of the people are back and we have new good people too.
For the 4 seniors, you would have to think that would be very important to go out having won 2 in a row.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. So Eastern Connecticut opens up the season on Saturday, August 31st. They're going to be at Nichols, also playing Mitchell College. Both of them are non-conference games. The Warriors open up at home on September 14th. That's a Saturday, hosting a very good Connecticut College team. They'll also play Emerson College on that day. Mckenzie, thanks for being here. Good luck.
Thank you.